We knew Tesla CEO Elon Musk was up to something when he declined to join Twitter's board of directors. Musk filed an offer to buy 100% of Twitter in cash, $43 billion. Twitter is holding an all-hands private meeting, I'll bet they are, with their employees this hour to discuss this offer. Joining me now is Daily Caller reporter and host of The Facts, Brianna Lyman. Also with us, CEO of the Starnes Media Group, host of The Todd Starnes Show, and author of Our Daily Biscuit, Todd Starnes. Brianna, we begin with you. Leftists are in a panic all over the country that free speech may be returning to the Twitterverse. But do you think these lefties at Twitter are going to give up their ability to silence their political enemies, even for Musk's billions?
Absolutely not. And I think that the concern here is that, free speech is the cornerstone of the foundation of this nation. And without it, you condemn every single American to a life of involuntary servitude and submission to mob thought. And the concern here is that without a de facto public square like Twitter having free speech, you stifle thought diversity and you lose any chance for any kind of open debate and compromise. And that's what Elon Musk wants to bring back. So the fact that leftists are losing their mind because they're scared they're going to lose their safe space is really concerning.
Yeah, safe space and the ability to control the narrative. As we all know, Twitter took down major news story during the election. But Todd, the biased press has been doing that and continues to do that. For example, in Brooklyn, the racist subway shooting suspect, I'm not even going to give his name, I don't care. He's been caught and taken into custody. But the press is doing all they can not to report this hate-filled racist who wanted to kill whites. It was on YouTube making racist rants against Latinos and Asians, which YouTube didn't seem to care about. What a stark contrast to when the biased press reports on shooters, that are racist and who are white.
Yeah, it's a good point you raise, Chris. As a matter of fact, I've coined a phrase for that kind of incident where the mainstream media simply refuses to cover a certain portion of a news story because the demographic doesn't fit their narrative. I call that being Waukesha'd. And we saw what happened after that horrible terrorist attack in Waukesha, Wisconsin at the Christmas parade. The suspect, a black nationalist. Remember the near assassination attempt in Kentucky conducted by a black nationalist. That story was Waukesha too. And I suspect what happened in Brooklyn is going to be Waukesha. In other words, it's going to be ignored by the mainstream media, or they're just going to whitewash over the fact that this guy is a black nationalist and was out there conducting hate crimes.
Indeed. And you know what? Again, that brings us back to where we started on Twitter, because if Twitter is free speech, then all of a sudden the biased press, NBC, ABC, CBS, they can't keep the lid on it. They can't stop us from knowing what their left wingers are up to, gunning people down all across the country. Brianna, in Loudoun County, Virginia, school board officials there. Here's another prime example of a story they wanted to bury. The school board officials who covered up this rape of a 14-year-old girl by a 15-year-old boy who said he was pretty that day wearing a skirt so he could get access to a restroom. Well, the people that tried to cover this up inside of GovEd now face a grand jury. Meanwhile, Governor Youngkin has put 9 board members on the ballot in the midterms. The only thing missing now is school choice to empower parents to police GovEd, because goodness knows and evidence shows that our lawmakers are completely incompetent and inept in doing so. What do you think?
I agree with you. And I think that it's actually sad that it took, Governor Youngkin to kind of come in and put pressure on the Loudoun County officials, because this is a student who was raped, right? Schools are supposed to be safe spaces. And it brings us to the larger issue of transgenderism in school, right? Girls are vulnerable when there are people who hijack things like gender dysphoria and use it as this kind of shield. And then they go and commit these rapes. And then you have school boards who literally lie and try to cover it up when there is a girl on the line, someone who's been raped and has dramatic experience, and it takes the governor to get involved. And the best part is that conservative media seems to be the only media that's really focused on this. And the reason being is because it obviously kind of chips away at the core of Democrats' whole, fairyland tale of what transgenderism is in schools and how happy and honky-dory it is.
Yeah, all you Democrats out there in the media or in the Democrat Party, save your, we're the party of women nonsense. This is the same people that say we have to destroy women's sports so we can be, quote unquote, fair to transgender athletes. Todd, your latest Newsmax piece details a girls lacrosse team that came under fire for wearing shirts that read, "Pray for peace in support of Ukraine. School told them the message conveyed by the shirts, although it was positive in nature and well-meaning, it could be interpreted as religious and political in nature. But I'll bet if those students were wearing BLM shirts, nobody in school administration would say a damn thing.
Or if the girls had been boys who identified as girls. Look, we've been covering this story all my radio program, Chris, and it's really shocking because the school literally had a bigger problem with the word peace than they did with the word pray. The parents went back to the school and said, well, what if the teachers just said a play for peace? And the school board said, no, you can't do that, because you cannot take a side in the Ukrainian and Russian war. The school board actually said that everybody had their own version of the truth. So the Russians have theirs and the Ukrainians have theirs. And I just think about this for a moment, Chris. We've got a school district there in Blacksburg, Virginia, that actually believes the Russian side of the war should actually be acknowledged as being legitimate. Here's my take on it. When in doubt, side with the freedom fighters.
Well, how about this? The word peace means nobody's trying to kill one another. Nobody's firing it. You're not picking a side. In Holy Week, which is, of course, why GovEd kicked God out of schools, in Holy Week, for goodness sakes, the word peace should not be controversial. Only in the small pea-brain minds of left-wingers is the word peace controversial. Todd Starnes, Brianna Lyman, thank you very much for your time, and happy Holy Thursday and a blessed Easter ahead. Coming up.